Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to make chess piece using the spin tool. So go ahead and begin by deleting the default cube and find a reference image. Just go to Google, not too hard to find them. So anyway, I found this one and it works quite well. It's kind of big though, so I'm going to scale it down and move it up. It doesn't have to be perfectly on the line, but it should be sort of close. Now, using the spin tool, we only need one vertice to begin with. So create a cube, or a plane, sorry, and delete 3 of the vertices, and then move the final vertice to the x-axis. And then I'm going to move it out, and right there should be fine. And then just extrude along the outside of the pawn. So, going kind of fast here. This shouldn't take too long, it's a pretty fast process. Now for this bubble on top, you could use a UV sphere, but it'll work just fine either way. Yeah. Actually, this would probably work better if you're gonna make it like glass or something. And then make sure this one is at 0 and this bottom one has something that goes to the 0. There we go. Now, if we go into top view, hit spin, change this from 90 degrees to 360 degrees, and increase the steps to give it more polygons. And there you go, a pretty good looking pawn. So you're going to want to remove the doubles so that we get rid of the seam. And yeah, there is a pretty good looking pawn right there. Let's go ahead and set it to smooth shading. And nope, there we go. And you'll notice that the normals are all screwed up. So go back into edit mode, and under normals hit recalculate, and it'll look a lot better. And then hit Control 2 to give it a subsurf, and there you go. The pawn is pretty much ready to go. Let's crease the seams a little bit so that we can have sharper edges on some things. It doesn't really matter where you do it, just play around with it. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Anywhere else? Sure. There. That looks good enough. Save. Okay. Let's start making the scene a little bit. So go ahead, create a plane. We'll be using cycles, so switch that now. Create a material, call it board, because this is going to be our checkerboard, and pull this guy up, turn it into a node editor, and insert a mix shader and a glossy shader. There we go. I'm gonna split this screen so that we can see what we're doing. This is a nice feature of cycles. I'm also going to turn the world down to complete black. There we go. That'll look really good in the end. Now I'm going to grab change the color to an image texture and get your checkerboard. You can find that kind of texture online, Google. There are lots of different options. Change the image texture from going into the glossy to the diffuse. There we go. Our pawn is way too big, and our checkerboard is kind of small. Or the chessboard. Now we can move this. I'm going to scale it down and hit G and then Shift Z so that we can move it around without having it go down through the board. And I'm going to put it right there. Maybe a little bit over. There we go. I'm also going to be moving around the camera a little bit. Change the resolution to fit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now I'm also going to be deleting this default lamp. While it does put light on it, I don't really like how it does it. So create a plane. Gonna rotate it 45 on the Y and give it a new material, call it warm light. Change the diffuse to a emission shader. Kind of scale it up a little bit and not too bright. That's pretty good. Let it have a few passes. I'm gonna give it a hint of warmth, not too much. And then create a new one. And this one is going to be kind of a cooler shadow light. So I'm gonna delete that. Change it to cool. There we go. And instead of being in the warm direction, kind of put it more toward blue. And I'm going to turn it down quite a bit. So that's looking pretty good. Let's start working on the checkerboard a little bit more. I'm going to turn the roughness down actually, because I kind of want a glass look to our board. Yeah, I may give it just a tiny bit of roughness. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and make the pawn into kind of its own glass. So to do this, we are going to go ahead, select the pawn, create a new material, call it glass, and it's going to be a mixture of glass and diffuse. So move that one down, create a glass shader and a mix shader, and it's going to be mostly glass. So there we go. I'm going to set that to 0.01, and it's going to be slightly rough, so 0.1 is what I used, and 1.333, which, if I recall, is the IOR of glass. That's starting to look pretty good. I may decrease the roughness just a tad bit. Give it a few passes. I may just pull these out a little bit, or pull these lights out. So if you double hit Z, you can actually just pull it kind of on the local Z. So you can do the same if you use these widgets. You can hit local and move it out like that. I prefer the keyboard method, so I usually have those kind of hidden. Let's go back into camera view. And what I'm going to do, nope, not that one. Duplicate that. I'm going to move it right in front of the camera. Can't see anything, but I'm going to go into the object data, I guess, array visibility, and hit camera to turn it off. That will make it so that we can't see it, but it will be affecting everything else in the scene. So that's starting to look pretty good. Give it a few passes. And that should be good enough. Yeah, I like that. I may actually move this a little bit closer to the object, so sometimes kind of hard to see what you're doing. Yep, just kind of play with the lighting until you get something that you like. This should be good. May actually turn up the values just a tad bit and turn this one down a little bit maybe. So, nope. Want plenty of light. Okay, so it's almost time to get into kind of more special effects stuff. So let's play with the depth of focus, or depth of field, sorry. So turn on limits and change the distance. I may move this down and rotate this a little bit. There we go. And kind of get it. No. Okay. There we go. There we go. Now I'm gonna place these crosshairs right on the side of the this pawn. This will allow us to go in and give it some nice effects in the compositor. So let's set up the integrator. We'll give it a render, and then we'll go in and play with it in the compositor. So I'm gonna set this 50% should be just fine. Where's the integrator? There it is. For the render, I'll go with 100, and I'll let this render, and I will unpause it when it's done. Okay, so it has finished, and it looks pretty good. So, click Use Nodes, and let's use Backdrop. Give it a viewer output. Looks pretty good, but let's make it look even better. Go ahead, let's give it the defocus node now. That will apply our depth of field. Yeah, depth of field. So, connect the Z and the Z, click Use Z Buffer, and let's turn this down. The f-stop way down. And keep going. And going. That's a lot of blur. And then let's turn up the samples, probably 80. That will get rid of some of the grain that's produced. Next, we're going to put in just a filter, a soften filter. That will get rid of some of the grain that you saw here. That's a little bit too much. So turn down the factor. There we go. So that just got rid of some of this grain here. And up here too. So that's looking pretty nice. Now this looks like it could be a good cold kind of scene. So I'm gonna go in and give it a color balance, and let's kind of tint it blue. There we go. Maybe a little bit more over here, and no. There, that looks pretty good. Now we can leave it here. Just connect this this node out here. But I think we could make it look a little bit better, just like angling it a little bit. Probably something like that should be pretty good. Not too much, don't want everyone getting sick. So I'll give it one final render, turn that up to 100%, and I'm going to turn up the integrator, maybe, I don't know, 150 should be okay. It'll get rid of some of the extra grain so that we don't need quite as much soften, or quite as much of this soften filter thing. So I'll give that one final render and be back when it's done. Okay, so it's finished rendering, and you'll notice that the blur node does this beautiful up close and personal sort of thing with the pawn. The soften node kind of makes everything nice and soft. It looks pretty good. So thanks for watching. This is what you get, or what you should be getting. It looks pretty good. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to post them in the comment boxes. Otherwise, thank you.